The PlayStation Portal is not for everyone, and that might surprise you, especially coming from me, because depending on how you play games, this thing is either one of PlayStation's smartest, best ideas in recent history, or a complete waste of your money. Right now, there are two very loud conversations around the Portal going on. On one side, they absolutely hate it, calling it one of the worst PlayStation products ever made and saying nobody should buy it. And then the other side swears it's completely changed how they play games and wouldn't go back and recommend that everyone picks one up. But the truth sits somewhere in the middle. So in this video, I want to break down who the PlayStation Portal is not for and why that's actually okay, and who it really makes sense for in 2026. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which side of the fence you're on and whether the PlayStation Portal actually makes sense for you. So why do we even need to be discussing this right now? Well, the PlayStation Portal is one of the most misunderstood PlayStation products Sony has ever released, and a big reason for that is simple. People keep judging it based on what they want it to be, not what it actually is. It's not a traditional handheld console, it is not a Steam Deck or Switch 2 competitor, and it's not trying to replace your PlayStation 5. The Portal is a very specific solution to a very specific problem. And if you don't have that problem, it's probably not for you. That doesn't make it bad, it just means it has a clear audience. So let's start with who should not be buying one of these PlayStation Portals. And it's definitely not for competitive gamers. If you mainly play competitive games, the PlayStation Portal is not for you. And I mean proper competitive games, like really fast-paced shooters, competitive FPS titles. You can dabble with FPS games. I do. I love playing like Doom Eternal on this thing. But if you're playing like competitive ranked matches, anything where reaction time and precision matter above all else, this is not the place to do it, because whether you're using remote play or cloud streaming, the game is still being streamed to the device. That means you're at a disadvantage. There's extra latency, there's no local processing on the device, nothing game wise is running on here, and you're always going to be at a disadvantage compared to someone playing directly on their PlayStation 5 console. So you need to really keep that in mind. And another disadvantage if you are playing competitive shooter games is the smaller screen. It's way harder to pick out bad guys on this than it is on a massive, like, high refresh rate OLED TV. Like I said, FPS games though, are they playable? Yes. Is it ideal? No. If you're grinding ranked matches, chasing, rankings on leaderboards, or taking competitive gaming seriously, you're always going to be better off with a PS5 or a PS5 Pro connected directly to a big display. The Portal simply isn't designed for that type of play, and it never really was. It is also not for performance junkies, and this one's important if you deeply care about maximum resolution, ultra high frame rate, cutting edge visuals, with ray tracing and all the bells and whistles, squeezing every last drop of performance out of your games, then the PlayStation Portal is not your device. The Portal has an 8-inch 1080p LCD screen. It looks good, it looks clean. It's actually probably one of the best LCD panels I've ever seen on a handheld. It really pops, it looks great, but it cannot compete with a large OLED TV running games locally on your PS5 Pro, and that's fine. Cloud streaming delivers standard PS5 versions of games, not enhanced PS5 Pro versions. You could stream the games via remote play from your PS5 Pro to the Portal, but you're still missing out on a lot of the visuals, the visual fidelity and detail on the smaller screen. So if your ideal setup is a PS5 Pro, a massive OLED TV, and the best visual experience possible, that's where you should stay playing your games. The Portal isn't trying to replace that, it's trying to offer a different way to play your games. The next group of people it's not for are those who want a dedicated handheld. If you're looking for a device like the Nintendo Switch or the Nintendo Switch 2, the PlayStation Portal is not that. You cannot install games natively on the device. You can't run apps like Netflix or YouTube. You can't stream from other platforms. The Portal is locked to PlayStation Remote Play and PlayStation Cloud Streaming, which you also need to pay a subscription service for. That focus is intentional, but it also means that there's very little flexibility outside of gaming in the PlayStation ecosystem. So if you want media apps, you want, emulation of, old PSP games, for example, or Vita games or PS1 games, whatever. You want third-party streaming. Maybe you want to stream stuff from, I don't know, Game Pass, after all, everything is an Xbox, or a true standalone handheld gaming experience, you're looking in the wrong place. This device does one thing, and it does that one thing very well, in my opinion, and that is streaming your PlayStation games from the cloud or from your PlayStation console with all the awesome DualSense features around this lovely screen, which you can't get these DualSense features on any other remote play or streaming device, so keep that in mind. Also, this is a huge one. It's not for every region, and this is a big one which doesn't get talked about enough. And what I mean by that is PlayStation Cloud Streaming is not available in every country. And if you live in a region without cloud support, the Portal is currently a remote play only device. That means you must own a PS5 or PS5 Pro for it to be useful. It doesn't work with PS4s. So if you're in one of those regions and you don't own a PS5, the Portal 100% doesn't make sense for you right now. It will actually do nothing, and I mean nothing. This is slowly improving, but it's still an important limitation to be aware of before buying, so double check if cloud streaming is available in your region, especially if you don't have a PlayStation 5 console, please, because I'm not exaggerating, it does nothing without remote play or PlayStation Cloud Streaming via PlayStation Plus Premium. So who is the PlayStation Portal actually for? Now, here's where things get interesting. The PlayStation Portal is for people who value access, that ease of use and that ease of access to all your PlayStation games, not, a super powered console. It's for people who don't always have access to their TV, don't want to boot up their console, and take over the living room and the TV to play their games. Or you might be away traveling. It's another thing this does well. You can still access your games if you have a good internet connection. And for people who don't have time for long, uninterrupted gaming, blocks of time anymore. It's for people who want to play in different rooms, heck, even in different cities or in different countries. You can fit gaming into a busy lifestyle with the PlayStation Portal, as you can just pick it up and play your games wherever without all the drama of taking over the TV when maybe someone else wants to watch it. And you can make progress through your backlog in small chunks just by playing a little bit, before bed, when you're maybe traveling somewhere or maybe chilling out in the bath. And it's really good for slower paced games, your RPGs. I've just played a whole load of Final Fantasy VII Remake on it. It was spectacular. Your story-driven games, God of War, Ragnarok, stuff like that. Your indie games, Balatro, Vampire Survivors are just perfecto on this thing. And older PlayStation classics, they should only be played on the Portal in my mind. For example, PS1 games in particular, on a smaller screen. Many of these older games look way better than they do blown up on a huge TV. And suddenly, these games that you probably wouldn't want to play on a modern big TV because they look really quite bad, become way, way sharper and regain just a ton of that magic. It looks the way you remember it. So definitely jump into your retro games on the Portal. It is amazing. So why is the Portal not being made for everyone actually a good thing? Well, this is the part people get wrong. The PlayStation Portal doesn't need to be for everyone to be successful. In fact, it's probably better that way, as they didn't Sony didn't try to make a do everything handheld, which costs way over $1,000, which is so expensive. No one wants to buy it, and then it is just dead on arrival. They made a really sharp, focused device, which fits into the modern gaming world really well. As you know, everyone's time is, I think, to game as you get older, way shorter and fragmented. Living rooms are shared with family and friends, so you can't always get on the TV. Gaming hardware is getting way more expensive across the board, and the Portal fits into that world really quite nicely. So if you understand what it is and you buy it for the right reasons, it's probably one of the best PlayStation accessories you can own right now. With a few caveats, as long as your internet is up to scratch, make sure you check that out first of all, people. Without good internet, this is not good. And number two, make sure you've got PlayStation Plus Premium, as it just opens up the possibilities of playing different games in different ways on the Portal and makes it much closer to a standalone device, which is absolutely fantastic. And yeah, I've had one of these since day one. I own all three of them. You can buy right now. Trust me when I say this, this is an amazing device if you know what you're getting into, and it ticks all the boxes for your gaming habits, what kind of games you like, and your lifestyle. And if you've decided the PlayStation Portal is for you, the next big question becomes, what should you play on it first? There's 15 essential games I recommend you play first on the Portal, as they're just glorious on this device, and you can check them all out in this video on screen now.